So some left-wing channels are now trying to say that it's Trump's fault for the crash that happened. The basis of those claims are Trump trying to buy out federal employees, these agencies being understaffed already, and the potential for people that left because of Trump's offer, which led to them being even more understaffed, which led to the crash. However, a critical detail for those people who are putting these theories out there, I don't care how much Trump has reduced staff or his buyout, none of that's relevant to the crash. The specific detail that would be relevant is if any of that led to staffing issues at the specific air traffic control tower, right? I haven't heard anyone say that that particular location had a reduced staff due to something Trump did. Simply saying that they were understaffed in general or other places had issues with staffing because of Trump, whatever. Again, you got to connect the two. There's got to be a nexus between Trump's actions and what happened at the tower. But this is not the point of this. This video is specifically, I'm speaking to conservatives. There's a huge problem and I want you guys to recognize, right? Even if this was in fact Donald Trump's fault, if something Trump did led to the fatalities, I don't know, what's it, 60 people? If something Trump did led to this disaster, you would never know. And that is a huge problem. Again, I'm not talking about the disaster. I'm talking about the fact that your media is completely broken. If in fact this is 100% Trump's fault, you will never know. You've been trained to not listen to anything mainstream media says, right? So mainstream media would absolutely be the ones to find it out that it's Trump's fault, right? If it is his fault, they'll be the ones to find it out. But you're not going to trust what they say because you've been trained to ignore them, to not trust them, right? Fake news, right? That's something that you've been bombarded with. So you're going to be super skeptical to anything that they say. And then final knockout blow is your entire media. I mean, all the independent guys, the corporate guys on the conservative side, none of these guys will tell you if it's really his fault. And again, this has nothing to do, I know people are going to respond and somehow excuses or whatever. I'm not talking about this incident. Whatever the incident is, let's say some other incident happens, there's a crash somewhere else or something related to the federal government. If it is because of Donald Trump's actions, you will never know. The people who would tell you, you're not going to trust. And then the only other people you're listening to, they're never going to tell you. Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, Officer Tatum, Tim Pool, Russell Brand, these guys are all basically pushing for the establishment. Right? Their job is to keep you guys voting for Republicans. And they're getting rewarded with so much money. They're getting so rich and so wealthy. I mean, when you look at a beanie wearing moron like Tim Pool having access to the former president of the United States, that's what they're getting. Meanwhile, these left-wing channels that are so loyal to the Democratic Party and you know, pro-Democrat Party, they can't even get access to Kamala Harris. When Kamala Harris was trying to win and things were tough, she wouldn't even talk to Mr. Access journalist himself, Mr. Brian Tyler Cohen, right? So left-wing independent media is not a friend of the Democratic Party. Certainly they're helpful, but the Democratic Party is afraid of them. The Republican Party is not afraid of anyone in your media. They feel comfortable talking to Tim Pool, you know, all these guys, Red Pill, whatever. They're not afraid to talk to people on your side because these people are completely captured by the establishment Republican Party. So once again, a huge problem for you as a conservative is that anything Trump does bad, you're not going to know about it. They're either not going to tell you about it, or if it's a big enough story, they're going to spin up some kind of conspiracy theory and say how it's actually not true and it's misinformation and the liberal media is lying, and they're going to come up with some kind of narrative and they're all going to jump on top of it and they're all going to push it out there, and you're going to fall for it because you're human and it's uncomfortable for you to say, wait a minute, somebody I voted for did something that led to some kind of big tragedy. That's an uncomfortable feeling. Oh, I screwed up. Nobody wants to feel uncomfortable, right? So if you had to choose between that and Officer Tatum coming up with some kind of narrative, well, actually, it was the DEI, this, that, you're going to go with the DEI story, right? DEI, it's CRT, it's actually something that Joe Biden did, or if Kamala had won, it would have been actually worse, or somehow, whatever it is that happens, it didn't happen, or it's not the way it's being presented, or it would have been worse if Kamala Harris was in charge. We could go into a recession, we could go into depression, it does not matter. This is a huge problem. You need to be able to have a source of information to tell you what's happening in this country. And right now you have none, right? They tell you don't trust mainstream media, and then the people that you do listen to and you do trust, they're all liars. They're making millions of dollars telling you exactly what you want to hear, right? Keeping you in the dark, keeping you in the fold. This is dangerous, right? We need to exist in a shared reality. If Trump does something good, we should all know about it. If he does something bad, we should all know about it. Because think about the idea that tons of people could lose their lives, there could be so much damage to this country, and you could actually be complicit because you're kept in this little bubble by the right-wing media guys that are very wealthy, right? They're getting paid a lot of money to isolate you from the rest of the world, right? I don't know what you are going to choose to do or if you're going to choose to do anything at all. But all I'm going to let you know, and my point here is to advise you of a massive problem, right? You guys don't have anyone that you can trust. It is for you to examine why that is and to figure that out. But I'm just letting you know the truth. You don't trust liberal media. You don't trust, mainstream media on the liberal side. But everybody else, they're just lying to you. They're never going to tell you the truth about what Trump is doing. Trump has to do another January 6th. type of event, something on that level. And then in that moment, they might, like Ben Shapiro might talk about this is like 9/11, it's an insurrection. And then as soon as they see that you guys are actually, seemingly not so concerned, or you're still on the MAGA train, they're going to flip in a heartbeat and pretend to be MAGA. All I can do is tell you the truth. What you do with it is up to you.